back to our channel. This is episode 2 of the Stirr. If you haven't already watched our first video, pause this and go watch it, or actually watch it afterwards. But we will leave the link down below as well. And for those of you that are new to our channel, we will leave our email somewhere on the screen right here, so you can go ahead and send us any dilemmas, any juicy stories, questions about struggles that you're going through, and then we will go ahead and bring them onto our episode and just kind of just read it out and just kind of help you through it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I have nothing to add. That was perfect.
And then today, so what do we have to drink today?
We have palomas, and these are Jose Cuervo sparkling palomas. We kind of got lazy and didn't want to make drinks because we are actually going to leave that for a future episode. We're going to make drinks with you guys. So hopefully you enjoy that.
Yeah, and maybe if you have any suggestions moving forward about what drinks you guys want us to make, go ahead and leave your suggestions down below. But yeah, I really recommend these. I just tried these for the first time like last week with my sisters, and I love them. What do you think so far?
I've never tried them.
They're really good.
You're the person that's introducing me to them. So
yeah, it's Jose Cuervo sparkling palomas. But anyways, that's what we're having today. So just remember, follow along and drink with us if you are 21 and older. We're gonna go ahead and jump right in. So we have our second dilemma of the season. And so we're just gonna go ahead and just jump straight to it.
Okay, so as you guys know, all of your emails are gonna remain anonymous. Here is episode 2's email. Somebody emailed us and they said, there was a past relationship I had that was super toxic. I was a college student at the time and I was very focused in school and did what I could to pass my classes with good grades, and if this meant creating effective study groups with other male friends and female friends, I would. However, my BF at the time was very jealous and would never want me talking to other guys. So I didn't mention to him that I would study with other men in order to not cause any problems with him. One day, we got into this huge argument and he wanted to see my phone and my text messages. I said, okay, and I know I had messages with my male friends about meeting up and studying and talking about classwork, and I knew he was going to see that and blow up. So I grabbed my phone and went into my messages and instantly was about to delete some messages, but for 2 seconds I was about to delete the text and I didn't. I told him I wanted to be honest about the text messages and people I study with and talk about classwork. The entire time, he was looking at the corner of his eye and blew up, accusing me of deleting a bunch of messages. I kept telling him I was about to, but I stopped myself because I didn't want to lie. He got crazy and kept accusing me of deleting stuff. He kept saying, I saw in the corner of my eye that you were deleting messages. And I thought to myself, this guy is crazy and he's delusional, because I never did that, and I had confessed that I thought about it, but I didn't go through with it. He kept saying that you're making me feel crazy, and I thought, well, yeah, you kind of are. After that, we made up, and he said, okay, I believe you. A week later, we picked up food, and I was eating nachos. He randomly started hyperventilating, and I was like, what is wrong? He blurted out, I know you deleted those messages, and he threw my nachos on the floor. Like, what the? Those are my nachos. That's when I realized he was crazy and I needed to let him go because it was not a healthy relationship. He was a very insecure guy and thought of himself as ugly, and I feel as though those insecurities played a huge role in the toxic relationship it had become. Someone needs to love themselves first before they think they can love others, and that's what I learned from that relationship. Also to not be with someone who is jealous. It's unhealthy.
Okay, I was not expecting that. Some of that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That is a lot, and I have already so many thoughts. But I do have to point out before we even jump into this that I do like how this person ended this email with, because from what I'm gathering is now this person is in a better place. They were able to learn from this relationship, as they mentioned, because we have to keep in mind that there's some people that are still in these relationships and these toxic relationships, and they're not able to kind of take a step back to kind of like look at it and be like, this is unhealthy.
Yeah.
This is so unhealthy. But yeah,
I want to say I'm really proud of this person. Like that takes a lot of courage, I think, to acknowledge that you put up with something like that, you know?
Right.
Because I think a lot of people would be embarrassed to say, like, I let somebody treat me like that.
Right.
And also, this person did not let the other person treat them like that for very long. Like, it sounds like something happened where, like, they saw, like, some red flags, and then the second red flag, they were like, I'm done, I can't be with you.
Yeah, and honestly, okay, so this is one of the things that, if you go watch our first video, I actually made a comment that, like, I personally, in my relationships, do, like, one strike and you're out. For the same exact reason that, as you just kind of said with the red flags, because sometimes I hear, and I don't mean to judge people, I think it's just todo a su tiempo, or everything with its time, but there's people who end up, like, staying in these relationships, they get married, they have kids, or it turns worse than even what that was. And it's kind of like when they get a divorce or the relationship finally ends, I'm kind of like, did they never see any red flags?
Yeah, like, did they see this coming?
Yeah, because it's kind of like, how could you, like, I get it, people change once you move in, or, you know, once you get married and whatnot, but I think flags like that you should not ignore.
Like, some people are just plain for no reason. And I'm sure they have their reasons, right? But you're nobody's punching bag, and you should not have to put up with stuff like this. I think that's kind of like an opinion that we both have, is like, you shouldn't have to put up with someone treating you poorly or letting their insecurities get the best of them and them taking it out on you. Like, there's no reason to put up with that.
Right. And then kind of taking it back to, like, kind of like the beginning, or my beginning thought of, like, when you were reading this email, it was, you know, the factor of jealousy. Let me reflect on myself, I guess, first, right? Am I a jealous person?
I don't know, are you?
I'm gonna be honest, I am. I'm a jealous person. But I mean, and again, this is just my perspective, right? But I feel that if you were to ask my fiance, or someone were to ask my fiance that if I'm a jealous person, I don't necessarily think he would be like, oh my god, like, yeah, like, because when I think of that, I think crazy ass people.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you can't go out with your guy friends, you can't, okay, well, in this situation, you can't even study with guy friends. Like, I don't think I would ever go to the extent of that.
Of, like, restricting someone from doing something that's maybe in their benefit, right? Because, like, this person's going to school, obviously, to make something of themselves, and this other person's like, I don't want you to do that. Like, I don't want you to be better.
Right. This is, like, I feel like this is an exception to one of those things, because this is academics. This was affecting her academic career. Like, yeah, right? So this is something totally different than maybe what I'm talking about. This is so different. Let me kind of throw in an example, again, a personal example, where, you know, my fiance was studying away for like 4 years. When I first met him, unfortunately, I met someone who then had to leave and go to a whole different city to go study. And I remember...
Can I just say, it wasn't even a whole different city. It was like 7 hours away. And I was like, why are you doing that? Like, we were what, how old?
21.
We were 21. We were like in our prime party days. Like, we were downtown at Wildcat, Tonic, EOS.
Tonic was the spot.
Tonic was, yeah, it's not there anymore. Anyway, but we were like prime party days, like going out every weekend, and she was talking to this guy that was like 7 hours away, and I was like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and so I remember, because, I mean, he wasn't really, so I remember this one time where he moved in with some roommates, and he moved in with some roommates, obviously, because he's studying, you know, he's in college, and that's what people in college do. They live with roommates, or move in with roommates. And I don't know how I remember how it happened, but I found out a girl moved in there, like, as a female roommate. And when I found this out,
did I know about this?
I don't know if I ever told you.
I don't think you did. I think you were so mad that you like didn't tell anyone.
Maybe, but I was livid. I was so upset. jealousy, I think it was my own insecurities, but I was upset and I did bring it up to my fiance at that point. And then I let it go. I think if I remember correctly, he even said, "Do you want to talk about it?" And I was like, "No." But then I have to be honest, and believe it or not, I did let it go, because then I kind of took a step back. I'm like, wait a minute, why am I jealous? Like, these are roommates, they're all going to college. Like, there was no need for me to be jealous. And so,
yeah, but can I just say that there's a difference between insecurities and doubts in the relationship? Like, I feel like that's not an insecurity that you have. Like, that's not fully trusting someone yet.
yeah, I guess so.
So, but I think that's different than like.
Well, taking it back to this person, I think it was both. I think it was a little bit of the other partner, their own insecurities, and also just.
I'm just gonna throw this out there, and I think that other partner is a narcissist.
It seems like it, yeah. Like, and I think I don't know. I think they kind of caused the other person, the one that was going to college, like, to do things that they wouldn't normally do. Like, they're talking
like trying to delete the text messages
and like, and so like, look at what they caused to that person.
I agree, but I will say that I don't know. Like, I have a really firm line. Like, once you cross this line, to me, you're a person. Like, it doesn't matter who you're affecting. You could be controlling and manipulative to the lady down the street, and I'm gonna think you're a person. You could be controlling and manipulative to one of my family members, and you're probably gonna get punched in the face, and I'm gonna think you're a person. So I think that we need to stop making excuses for people like that and saying like, oh, it's because of their upbringing or whatever. Like, everybody has a difficult upbringing, and you either go to therapy or you continue being a person because of it. Or you don't go to therapy and you realize that, this is because of your upbringing, and you change it.
Yeah. I must say, though, that part about the nachos,
that got to me.
I laughed. I'm sorry. Because
right.
As you were reading it, I was like imagining it.
Right.
But I'm laughing also because it's like, whoa. I laughed, but I was also kind of shocked because...
Yeah, like laughing out of discomfort.
Yeah, like, what? Like, who does that?
Well, that almost... it's funny or whatever, and you can laugh about it. And, like, I chuckled too, because it just sounds funny, like, he, threw my nachos, but that's abusive, And I think that that's something that we have to address too, is, like, there's different types of abuse, and for you to physically slap something out of someone's hand, that's abusive. That's like
absolutely
borderline physical abuse to that person, because you're invading their space, number one. Number two, you're causing emotional damage. Number three, I'm sure that's like psychological damage, because like, how are you going to trust this person? Like, I'm just going to be holding my phone, you're going to slap that out of my hand too. Like, that's not okay.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah, it was like, I think we both laughed out of like shock and discomfort.
Yeah.
Because that's just not okay. And I'm curious to know how you would react, like, if someone did that to you. Like, even if it wasn't your significant other, like, if someone just like came over to you, you're like trying to eat something, and they just like swat it out of your hands.
That would have not been a pretty scene.
Oh shit, what is that?
You're crossing a big boundary.
And I think that's important for people to know, is like, you need to really be in tune with how other people are making you feel. If someone's making you feel unsafe, you need to trust that and get yourself out of that situation. And this isn't me trying to be preachy, this is me trying to keep you guys safe. As like someone who's experienced stuff like that is something that you should never put up with.
And I want to go back to one other, I think we talked about this briefly too within that message, but just the fact that, like, I'm kind of putting myself in the other person's shoes, and the one that was the one, I guess, would you call this person the victim? The one that was in college, or?
The author of the email.
The author of the
email, yeah.
you know, that like just I'm putting myself in her shoes, and I'm like, oh my, in their shoes, and I'm just kind of like even like they're in class and someone's like, hey, let's form groups, and their thoughts in their mind are just like, oh my god, let it not be a guy or a girl or whomever the significant other was jealous of, and you know, like, oh, I'm just trying to study, but I'm worried about this, and just even the fact that they at one point wanted to delete the messages, like, oh my god, like.
Okay, this is a good time for self-disclosure, and obviously, like, you guys saw the description in our first video, like, we're not only reading your guys' scandalous and, like, dramatic stories, but we're gonna share our own, because I feel like that's really what connects people, is knowing that you guys have had the same experiences. But when I don't know if I told you this, but when I first started grad school, I was in that, like, really toxic relationship, and obviously I was going to grad school with, like, 2 really good male friends. And so I received a text message from one of my male colleagues at the time, and he was like asking me about homework assignments, right? And so the person I was with at the time was like, why is this guy texting you? And I was like, because he's my classmate and we have the same classes and he's asking me about an assignment. Todavía yo voy a ir de pendeja, like explaining myself. So, and then he was like, oh, does he like ask your other classmates for help too, or is it just you? And I was like, I don't know, I'm the smartest one there, but I guess he asks everyone.
Wow.
So, and obviously I wasn't the smartest one there, I was just being a bitch, or a smart aleck. And so that happened. Obviously that was a red flag for me that I tucked away in the back of my head and didn't pay attention to, and I completely ignored and continued in that like super unhealthy relationship. But this stuff is like super common.
It is. You know, right now that you're talking about grad school, if I have to throw another one of my own examples, so I recently went through grad school, and it was it was all girls in my group, like meaning the group that I actually hung out with outside of the cohort, but it was like me, 2 other girls, and a guy. This guy was married. He has kids, and I don't know. My fiance never put me in the spot where it was like, why are you hanging out with the guy? I wouldn't even say like, oh, we came to have dinner with this guy and the girls, and like nothing. It was just actually just hanging out outside of class, and never once did he question me, because I mean, he knew this guy's married. I mean, it goes beyond that. I think he just trusts me, and there has to be trust there too as well. But even vice versa, like I met the guy's wife, I met his kids, and like I saw the same level of trust. Like she never was like, why are you hanging out with all these girls? She would call him like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm here with the girls. Like nothing. Like it was the first time, I must say, that I saw something like that where nobody was upset.
Yeah.
Everyone was just like, okay, it is what it is. And you know, I think also, I don't know how old these people were, but I think that has a lot to do with it too, because at this point we were like 29, 30s.
Right.
And so I think that has a lot to do with
I agree. And I will say that when I was in that toxic relationship, I was a lot younger, and I feel like you do mature, you learn from your experiences, and it sounds like this person that emailed us, like, they were just sharing this experience that they had that really helped them grow. You know, by the ending, it sounds like they really learned from it and they grew from it. And I mean, I guess just to like summarize, wrap it up, you know, like you and I both agree that it's important to learn from your mistakes. We're not saying don't make any mistakes. We're not saying you're not, you know, you have to be perfect and never get into a toxic relationship. But when you do, or if you do, get into a relationship where you're made to feel unsafe, like you really have to take that into account, and you really have to figure out like what your way out is, you know, whether that's like a friend that you can confide in and let them know that like you're feeling unsafe, or like that this person's not making you feel good about yourself, or like a family member or something. We're gonna leave some resources down in the description box for anybody that's going through like a similar situation, or maybe something a little bit more extreme where things have gotten to the point where you feel like you're not really able to leave the situation anymore. So
Yeah. And just like she said, just to summarize, I think one, again, to me, it just within the whole email, the thing that stood out to me the most was that I believe that person's out of that relationship and that they were able to be like, this is not okay. And also for emailing this is not something easy to share sometimes. Right. So thank you for whoever sent that email and for being vulnerable enough to share that. But I think, just most importantly, listen to your gut. Yeah. Look out for those red flags. Don't let them just kind of pile up, I guess I could say.
Don't ignore them.
Don't ignore them. Mm-hmm. Don't ignore them, because that example definitely was something that I feel was a little severe.
Yeah. Right? And I think we all deserve love. We all deserve to be loved. We all deserve to be respected. And I think, when you're younger and you're like trying to figure yourself out, trying to figure out your identity and like who you are, it's easy to let people, it's not easy. It's easier to let people take advantage of you.
All right, and then with that, cheers.
Cheers. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you for tuning into our second video. We're gonna go ahead and finish these drinks, and we will see you on episode 3 of this show.
Yeah. Bye, guys. Can I just say I'm on this end? I'm not even like halfway there, so. I look like an alcoholic now. My esophagus is burning.
Let me cover this and then I'll be gone for a little bit.
Okay, bye.
Jeez.
Just kidding. It's fine. I'm still trying to like get off my lipstick. Are you okay?
Yeah. Se me metió la salida.
We're getting really good blooper content though, so there's that. Yeah. Where's my phone? 1 second, please.